How cool would it be to be an extraterrestrial? Imagine traveling all the way across the galaxy from a distant star system many light years away to a planet that promises a peaceful life and the fulfillment of all of your dreams. Now imagine the beings on that planet might think that you're weird, and they might not even accept you. What a freak, they might say about you. You don't belong here. Being an extraterrestrial might not be as cool as you think. It might be incredibly hard. Trust me, I would know. I grew up on the faraway planet of St. Louis County. Okay, actually, not so far away. Pretty close in reality. When I was younger, I developed differently than the other kids around me. I screamed at my neighbors when they tried to greet me, lined up markers in exact rainbow order and alphabet blocks from A to Z, and instead of responding to questions from my parents with a simple yes or no answer, I recited entire quotes from the Disney movie 101 Dalmatians. Compared to the other kids with seemingly normal lives, I wondered which planet I really came from. My parents took me to a neurologist who grimly diagnosed me with autism spectrum disorder. His prediction for my life was incredibly bleak, that I would never understand social cues, play team sports, or have any lasting relationships with friends. That's how my life should have turned out. However, luckily for me, I had a family who believed in me. They immediately set to work, recruiting countless doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, and other loving adults. It was their constant help and support that gave me the incredible opportunity to grow up among my peers and to live a life closer to normal, whatever that means. But there was only so much my family could do to help. As I grew older, I had to teach myself how to navigate the vast, treacherous planet of maintaining a social life. You see, the way my brain works, every time I walk into a social situation, it's almost like I'm playing my first game of chess. Whenever you play chess, you have to remember what the pieces are, how they move, and how to anticipate what your opponent is going to do. That's my social anxiety. In social situations, my brain is constantly forced to think about every possible combination of what might happen. Sometimes I don't know who's who. Other times I don't know how people will react. In these situations, my mind is like a simple Windows XP computer attempting to run a complicated Windows 10 program. I can do a tough engineering problem in 2 to 5 minutes, but I sometimes need up to 15 to formulate the right words to text to a friend or write in an essay. I have different strengths and weaknesses than people without autism, and that's what I need to figure out for myself. To make my social life easier, after finishing 5th grade in my public elementary school, my parents transferred me to a 6th through 12th grade private school, Whitfield. At Whitfield, I definitely felt like I was on another planet. No one said hi or waved anymore. Instead, people spoke informally, using words like sup and nodding slowly with narrowed eyes at each other. People didn't care that I was smart or capable intellectually. They only preyed upon my social ineptitude. People distanced themselves from me. People laughed at me from across the room. Once, somebody stole my computer stylus. Once, someone sent out Photoshop pictures of my face on cartoon characters. Once, I thought I could get a girlfriend simply by asking her out, and then she would just automatically say yes. Okay, let me just say about that last one, that is not true at all. Not on this planet, anyway. But most importantly, no one understood me. Many of my peers were jerks to me, and others thought I was friendly but weird. Countless nights, right before I fell asleep, I spent hours wondering how I could possibly fit in. I pondered endlessly over every time I messed up in social situations. I constantly thought about how to change myself in order to please others around me. I had inner thoughts like, what could you have done differently? How could you have been more normal? Why are you so weird? I truly wasn't wrong when I said it was hard living on another planet. Humans have only explored a minuscule fraction of the universe as a whole. The estimate for the current distance across the universe right now is about 93 billion light years. However, we've only sent humans as far as the moon, or about 1/25th of a millionth of a light year. Now, those may seem like just numbers, but to reference that distance, that's triple the circumference of planet Earth compared to a value smaller than the radius of a single hydrogen atom. In other words, we've only explored half of a quintillionth of the distance across the entire universe. Just like the vast unexplored regions of our universe, there was so much more that life had to offer me. I was about to discover new joys and challenges which I had never experienced before. And I was not even aware of the opportunities I would have to adapt, to learn, and to grow. On a blustery February afternoon, right after I had just gotten home from classes in my senior year of high school, I heard a noise. My phone was ringing, and it was the 314-935 number. I picked up the phone, and a voice said, "Hello, Andrew. This is Gene Bobbick of the Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Science. I want to let you know that you've been awarded the Langsdorff Fellowship. This opportunity is a full tuition scholarship to Washington University in St. Louis." As his words gradually sunk in, I realized how big of a chance this was. WashU? Really? Am I seriously prepared enough? Am I ready? I immediately knew my answer. After attending the scholarship retreat in March of 2018, I committed to WashU on March 27th. I made my dream a reality. As our packed to the brim Kia Sorrento turned right onto Shepley Drive, RAs and dorm staff screaming and cheering at us the whole way to my new dorm building, a big smile crossed my face. I had finally made it. After way too many icebreaker activities and get-to-know-you games over the several days of new student orientation, I attended my first classes on August 27th and beheld the vast new universe that I had just discovered. I got involved right away in way too many extracurricular activities. I wanted to stay involved in 8 different organizations. Of those 8, I only immediately dropped 2 of them. You could say that I may have overcommitted myself just a little bit. Because I was so busy with my clubs, I treated my friendships like I had in high school. Instead of texting in with friends often and checking in with them, I spoke with them almost exclusively at shared club meetings or events. In addition, another side effect of being so busy with my clubs was that I prioritized them higher than my classes. The vast vacuum of space is very cold, about minus 455 degrees Fahrenheit. In the extremely cold environments like this, contrary to popular belief, the human body does not freeze instantaneously, but it actually takes a matter of minutes to become completely frozen. Note that in those few minutes out there, without a spacesuit, you would also have no pressure outside of your body, so your skin would continue to expand like an inflating balloon. Even if those 2 things weren't enough, your brain would shut down after about 15 seconds with full organ failure after 2 minutes. That's all not accounting for the lack of oxygen or the harmful UV radiation. In the fall 2019 semester of my sophomore year at WashU, I finally realized what was happening, but I was too late, and I wasn't wearing a spacesuit. My GPA was at a chilling all-time low, my friendships were failing, and I felt an expanding pressure from everyone I knew to do better, including my family. When people would walk up to me and say, "Hey Andrew, how's it going?" I would reply that I was fine, but I really wasn't. As someone who tries to stay honest and open, it hurt me to live my life in a lie. Even worse, dark thoughts continually haunted me. What would a world without you look like? I thought to myself. It would probably be better. I mean, you do ruin everything. Maybe that neurologist way back when was right. Maybe you aren't cut out for this. Maybe you don't deserve this. Luckily, I mustered up the courage to talk to my parents about what was really going on. They had known about my clubs, grades, and friendships, but not the true depths of my dark emotions. After suffering through many conversations and several breakdowns with them, I began to reteach myself that I was capable of success in both my classes and my social life. In the spring 2020 semester, I started regularly seeing a therapist, and it wasn't always easy, but I began to find more ways to focus on the good in life instead of just the bad. My drive to do better didn't stop when the COVID-19 pandemic began to affect our nation and the world. After our almost month-long spring break, I somehow continued to attend all of my classes virtually, kept up with every assignment, still did clubs, and texted friends more than ever before. By the time the spring semester was over, when people came up to me and asked me how I was doing, I knew I didn't have to lie anymore. I was doing okay. I was in a better place. And today, while I do have hard moments here and there, I continue to improve in my understanding of others and myself. I wanted to share my story with you because I know that not everyone is aware of the challenges that people on the spectrum face in the world today. Hopefully, my story can shed some light on my world and how I interact with the universe around me. Now, here's some more general information about being on the spectrum and what you can do to help people like me. Officially, an autism diagnosis includes difficulties with the following: nonverbal communication, social interactions and relationships, repetitive speech and movement, abnormal use of routines, obsessive interest in objects or activities, and unusual sensory responses to the environment. Many people with autism struggle with issues like these that may seem trivial to neurotypicals, or people not diagnosed with autism. However, it is important to note that it is called the autism spectrum for a reason. Just because you've met one person with autism doesn't mean that they define everyone else. Because if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So how can you support people on the spectrum if everyone is different? Glad you asked. Here are some strategies that I have found helpful in my experiences. 1. Use simple, direct language free of any sarcasm or idioms. Many people on the spectrum are very literal. For instance, when someone says, well, that's just great, it'd be taken to mean the situation is actually great. 2. Try not to ask us too many questions at once and give us enough time to formulate our thoughts when asking us questions. Remember that Windows XP example I used earlier? We're definitely not computers, but it is important to be patient when interacting with people with autism. That way we have the time we need to come up with a reasonable response. 3. Refrain from exposing some people with autism to extreme sensory activity, like bright lights or loud noises. These can often be detrimental to people with autism, so just be aware. 4. Many people with autism also have routines. They can be helpful at times, but can also be difficult to alter if circumstances around them change. Once we've learned something one way, it is often difficult to undo. 5. Many of us struggle with how to socially include ourselves. Therefore, just like people who aren't on the spectrum or neurotypicals, many people on the spectrum just want to be socially included. Don't be afraid to include them. These are a few of the strategies that I have found helpful in my experiences with people with autism. Hopefully these points and my story can spread awareness so that one day we can live in a world where we accept and celebrate neurodiversity. In my academic career at WashU in the future, as I continue being a student, I know that I will continue to face obstacles. Will I be challenged academically? Maybe a little. Will I struggle socially? You bet. But I will conquer my difficulties and celebrate my successes, knowing that my autism makes me who I am. Besides, I'm finally here. I now live on a planet that I can call home. Thank you.